interrupt your regularly scheduled programming for a breaking announcement. In a few minutes' time, United States President John F. Kennedy will address the nation concerning the brewing conflict between the Soviet Union and the United States. White House correspondents have informed us that the tensions are at an all-time high and that things have made a turn for the worse. Now, with that being said, we go live to the Oval Office to hear from President John F. Kennedy.
Good evening, my fellow citizens. This government, as promised, has maintained the closest surveillance of the Soviet military buildup on the island of Cuba. Within the past week, unmistakable evidence has established the fact that a series of offensive missile sites is now in preparation on that imprisoned island. The purpose of these bases can be none other than to provide a nuclear strike capability against the Western Hemisphere. By the presence of these large, long-range, and clearly offensive weapons of sudden mass destruction constitutes an explicit threat to the peace and security of all the Americas. We no longer live in a world where only the actual firing of weapons represents a sufficient challenge to a nation's security to constitute maximum peril. Nuclear weapons are so destructive, and ballistic missiles are so swift, that any substantially increased possibility of their use or any sudden change in their deployment may well be regarded as a definite threat to peace.
You have just heard President John F. Kennedy address the nation concerning missiles being placed in Cuba. Yes, I repeat, the Soviet Union has placed missiles in Cuba. Now, it would seem from the reporting here that these missiles have the ability to reach anywhere in the eastern states, including Washington, D.C. Now, with this new threat, we go on to our in-the-field reporter, Elizabeth Mullins, for more information. Elizabeth, tell us, what's happening out there?
Craig, I'm standing here in the Robinson family bomb shelter with Kathy and Deb Robinson. Now, with tonight's new breaking details, it would seem that citizens are heading for safety. Now, Kathy, Deb, what are you doing to prepare for threats like these?
Well, we've known all along that things like this could happen, so we've made our own fallout shelter. We've collected blankets, water, medical supplies, just so that we would be safe in a situation that, I guess, has come.
So with tonight's new details, what are your feelings and emotions?
I'm so scared. I've been dreading when this will happen. My husband, he's actually out at work and I haven't been able to get a hold of him, so we're just waiting here, hoping to hear good news eventually.
Yeah, and I have grandkids all over the country, and I'm just, you know, my thoughts and prayers are with them that they're okay.
There you have it, Craig.
Gripping details, Elizabeth. Gripping indeed. Now, before we talk more about tonight's announcement, let me give our viewers some background information concerning the situation at hand. Starting after World War II, tensions between the United States and the Soviet Union had been extremely high. Russian animosity towards the United States, as well as the U.S.'s fear of communism spreading into the United States, has placed us under constant guard to protect its borders from the whims of communism. The threat of democracy and capitalism being annihilated through the Soviets' desire for communism expansion has led to many Red Scare events. In addition, the arms buildup between the two superpowers has caused serious strain amongst its leaders. The crippling fear of an all-out nuclear war has put our nation on constant guard, as seen by the actions of the Robinson family. Let's send it back out to Elizabeth Mullins for further information concerning this announcement tonight. Elizabeth, go.
Now we're here with civil defense worker Jacob Johnson. Jake, in the events that have transpired tonight with new details, what are you guys advising citizens to do with the case of a threat of a nuclear bomb attack?
Well, Elizabeth, we've taken the necessary precautions to establish fallout shelters here in communities like this, but all around the nation. Currently, there's around 112,000 fallout shelters like the one here. All around the nation that can house somewhere in the neighborhood of around 60 million people in the case of some kind of nuclear fallout. All we ask people to do is to be prepared in cases of some kind of, if the alarm's signaled, to be ready, to have bottled water, to have blankets, emergency materials, and have that preparation already made so that they can safely get to their shelter. If you have any questions about what to do when the flash comes, we ask that you refer to the Duck and Cover film that was released nearly 9 years ago.
And we actually have a clip of that film right now. Let's go ahead and take a look at that.
He did what we all must learn to do. You and you and you and you. Duck and cover.
Be sure and remember what Bert the Turtle just did, friends, because every one of us must remember to do the same thing. That's what this film is all about. Duck and cover. First, you'll have to know what happens when an atomic bomb explodes. You will know when it comes. We hope it never comes, but we must get ready. It looks something like this. There is a bright flash, brighter than the sun, brighter than anything you've ever seen. If you were not ready and did not know what to do, it could hurt you in different ways. It could knock you down hard or throw you against a tree or a wall. It is such a big explosion, it can smash in buildings and knock signboards over and break windows all over town. But if you duck and cover like Bert, you will be much safer. You know how bad sunburn can feel. The atomic bomb flash could burn you worse than a terrible sunburn, especially where you're not covered. First, you duck, and then you cover. And very tightly, you cover the back of your neck and your face. Duck and cover underneath a table or desk or anything else close by. This is what to do if you should be in a corridor. You duck and cover tight against the wall this way. Remember to keep your face, the back of your neck, covered tightly. Try to fall away from windows or doors with glass in them. Then, if the glass breaks and flies through the air, it won't cut you. It's a bomb. Duck and cover. Paul and Patty know what to do. Paul covered the back of his head so that he wouldn't be burned, and Patty covered herself with the coat she was carrying. They knew how to duck and cover. Tony knows the bomb can explode any time of the year, day or night. He is ready for it. Duck and cover. Attaboy, Tony. That flash means act fast. Tony knows that it helps to get to any kind of cover. This wall was close by, so that's where he ducked and covered. Duck and cover. This family knows what to do, just as your own family should. They know that even a thin cloth helps protect them. Even a newspaper can save you from a bad burn. But the most important thing of all is to duck and cover yourself, especially where your clothes do not cover you. But there might not be any grown-ups around when the bomb explodes. Then, you're on your own.
Remember what to do, friends. Now tell me right out loud. What are you supposed to do when you see the flash?
So there you have it, some simple steps to protect our nation. Elizabeth, why is Russia so set on placing nuclear weaponry in Cuba?
Well, Craig, that's a great question. If the arms race wasn't enough, then the failed mission of April of 1961, known as the Bay of Pigs, seemed to tilt the scales. Recall, if you will, that the CIA encouraged, funded, and transported anti-Castro Cuban exiles to invade and overthrow the communist government. Now, it failed miserably, and it would seem that as soon as September of 1961, that Castro would ask for, and then Russia would publicly promise weapons to help Cuba defend itself against America. Now we're seeing that promise come to pass.
Elizabeth, thank you for your report. Now all we can do is see what transpires with the news of the blockade and the promise of retaliation if a Russian strike does indeed come. All we do now is sit and wait.